The IPCamPower PoE-Powered monitor. This insanely cool monitor is a low voltage installer's dream come true. It's jam-packed with features which allows it to be used in many different ways. In this video, we're going to show you 10 different cool ways on how you can use this monitor. Let's get started. Number 1. It's PoE powered. This is going to give you a lot more flexibility when it comes to installation. Think about it. With a standard monitor, you have to worry about if there's a receptacle nearby. And if there isn't, that means you have to hire an expensive electrician, which means a lot of time and money. This monitor, though, is powered by PoE, which means you can run up to 330-foot cable runs with standard network cable like Cat5 or Cat6 and use a standard PoE switch or PoE injector to power the monitor. No expensive electrician needed. This is especially useful whenever you have an installation site that requires multiple monitors. Just use a PoE switch to power all the monitors. How cool is that? Now let's get into some specific use cases, which brings us to number 2. Use your PoE NVR to power the monitor. Setup is real easy. All you're going to need is a network cable, an HDMI cable, your NVR, which has built-in PoE ports, and of course the PoE monitor. So first thing you're going to do is plug in the HDMI cable to the monitor, then plug it into the NVR, grab your network cable next, plug it into an open PoE port, and then plug the other end to the PoE in port on the monitor. And boom, you're set up, the monitor's powered using your NVR's PoE ports. Simple. Next, I'm going to take a couple side steps to show you how you can use this monitor for non-CCTV purposes, such as media displayers and digital signage. The monitor comes equipped with a high-power USB output as well as a 12-volt DC 1-amp output. This allows you to pair this monitor with many of the media devices that are available on the market, such as number 3, how to use the PoE monitor with an Amazon Firestick. All you're going to need is your Amazon Firestick remote, your Amazon Firestick, and incoming PoE power. Go ahead and plug in your HDMI cable to the HDMI 1 and plug in your USB power, and then go ahead and plug in your PoE power to the PoE input. The monitor does come equipped with high power USB output, so it's going to power the Firestick just fine through USB power. And as you will notice, the monitor does come equipped with built-in speakers. You can obviously use this for regular Amazon Firestick purposes, but here I'm using it in a pretty particular scenario. I downloaded VLC for Fire, and I'm viewing an RTSP stream from one of our IP cameras on our network, and I'm going to use this as a public view monitor. Here at number 4, I'm showing you how I hooked up an Android TV box to the monitor. I bought this Android player off of Amazon, and there are many others just like it. If you are interested, just simply go to Amazon and search Android TV box. Here's what it looks like. It's pretty cool, really small, has an HDMI output, it has a network connection. However, we are going to connect this via Wi-Fi. It runs off of USB power and comes with this cool remote control. Here I'm hooking up the power connector to the unit, then the HDMI cable. To make this a little more streamlined, I'm going to attach this box to the monitor with double-sided tape. It's going to look really nice from the front. It's going to be all nice and concealed. So after you get that connected, all you're going to do is connect the HDMI cable to the HDMI 1 connection and then the USB power. And then of course you're going to hook up your incoming PoE power to the PoE input on the monitor. And the whole setup is powered via PoE, including the monitor and the Android box. Cool thing about this Android box, it runs any Android app. As you can imagine, this will be cool for digital signage apps, media display apps. But here, I'm going to show you how I used it with IVMS 4500, which is a popular video surveillance app used to display hike vision cameras. As you can see, it's going to pull up the app just fine, and I already pre-configured a camera on this app before this video, but it's going to pop up and boom, video. I'm going to go ahead and leave the Android player connected to the monitor so I can illustrate my next point. Number 5, how to use the monitor to power a Wi-Fi IP camera. This is where things really start to get cool. The monitor has a 12-volt DC output that is capable of pushing up to 1 amp of power. Now, if you do use this feature, be sure to use a PoE switch or a PoE injector that is capable of pushing at least 60 watts of power to ensure you get that full amperage. I'm using a UniView PTZ Wi-Fi IP camera that runs off 12-volt DC power. There I have a power cable. I'm going to use just a short one for illustrative purposes. You're going to plug in the power cable to the 12-volt DC output on the monitor. Then you're going to plug it into the camera, and you're going to see it immediately starts powering up. I did already configure this camera to the app prior to this video, but I'm going to use IPCamViewer Lite, and it pulls up the video just fine. As you can imagine, this can be very useful in public view monitor retail scenarios. Now, some of you may be saying right now, yeah, that's pretty cool. It powers a Wi-Fi IP camera, but I never use Wi-Fi cameras in my installation. I only use wired IP cameras. That brings us to our next point. Number 6, how to use the monitor to power a wired IP camera. As you already know, the monitor has a built-in PoE input, but it also has a non-powered LAN connection. This allows you to wire up any type of networkable device to the monitor, including IP cameras. Check it out. I'm using a Nelly Security R-Series IP camera. You're going to need a network cable, and you're going to need your power wire. Go ahead and flip this monitor around. I'll show you how it's connected. Connect the network cable to the LAN connection. Now, that LAN connection does not output PoE, so that's why you're going to need to use the 12-volt DC output on the monitor to power the camera. Go ahead and connect the network cable to the camera, and then connect the 12-volt DC power to the camera. It's going to power up just fine. I'm using the iCam app from Android to view this camera. As you can see, it's going to pull up with fluid video. I just think it's so cool that this whole setup's run off one PoE. The PoE's powering the monitor, and the monitor's powering the Android TV box and the camera. Super cool. Are you one of those old school installers who still loves installing analog cameras? We got you covered as well. Number 7, how to use the monitor to power an analog camera. For this illustration, I'm actually using a 1080p HD TVI analog camera. In order to do this, I had to get a little creative. I had to hop on Amazon and buy one of these analog to HDMI converters. It works with TVI, CVI, and AHD cameras, as well as those old school analog cameras. Again, I'm going to make it more streamlined with some double-sided tape. Here I got a little short coax cable I'm going to connect to the converter, then to the camera. And I'm going to use the monitor's 12-volt DC output to power the camera here. And then the converter itself is actually powered by USB power, which I'm going to use the monitor's USB power output to power the converter. So last step here, I'm going to plug in the incoming PoE power. So that incoming PoE power is going to power the monitor. Then the monitor is going to power the camera as well as the converter. It's just super freaking cool. Remember in step 2 how I showed you that you could use a PoE NVR to power the monitor? Well, what if you could use the monitor to power a non-PoE NVR? What? Number 8, how to use the monitor to power a non-PoE NVR. A non-PoE NVR is simply an NVR that does not have any PoE outputs on it. These NVRs typically run off of 12-volt DC power. If you plan on using the monitor for this type of scenario, make sure your NVR uses 12-volt DC power. Furthermore, you're going to have to remove your hard drive for this purpose. Why? Well, for this scenario, we are simply going to be using the NVR as a decoder or an IP camera displayer. We are not going to be using it for recording purposes. Lastly, you want to make sure your NVR does not require more than 1 amp of power with the hard drive removed. Now, I know that was a huge disclaimer, but let me show you why this can be very useful. Here I'm using a UniView 8-channel NVR, and again, I removed the hard drive. Setup is simple. Just need an HDMI cable, a network cable, and your little power wire. Here I'm connecting the PoE to the monitor, and then I'm connecting a short network cable to the monitor, as well as the HDMI, and as well as the 12-volt DC output wire to the monitor. And then I'm going to connect everything here to the NVR, including the network cable, HDMI cable, and then lastly, the power from the monitor to the NVR. We got a beep there indicating we got power, and it's going to power up just fine. And I'm going to add some IP cameras there, and it looks beautiful. Boom. Now this can be very useful in like retail scenarios where you need to simply display IP cameras up on a monitor in public view. You can simply use the NVR as a decoder to show those IP cameras. But I wanted to take it one step further. I wanted to streamline it a little more. I wanted to remove that big bulky NVR case. When I removed the top of the NVR case, I noticed the NVR board inside was pretty tiny compared to the case. And since we aren't using a hard drive, we don't really need that big case. So I'm going to remove the NVR board from the case, and I'm going to tape it to the back side of the monitor. And this way, if I want to mount the monitor up on a pole or a pendant mount or up on the wall, it's going to look like very streamlined, like one contained unit. Now, full disclosure, I don't know how safe it is to leave open circuitry like that, so you might want to, actually, I would probably recommend that you put this inside a junction box, like a small junction box. But anyways, this video is for illustrative purposes only. To streamline it even more, I removed that corded mouse. I'm going to use a wireless mouse. That way, if I do mount it up on a pendant, I don't have to get up on a ladder and use a corded mouse to get to the interface. But here we are. It's just a really, really streamlined way to display IP cameras on this monitor. I mean, super useful. Number 9, using the monitor to power a wireless access point. There's going to be times where you have unutilized connections on the monitor. Say, for example, you have an unutilized 12-volt DC output and an unutilized LAN connection. Why not use them for something useful, such as a wireless access point? This is just another useful way you can use this monitor in a commercial application. If you have one of these monitors in a dead wireless zone, you can strengthen up that zone with a wireless access point connected to this monitor. Number 10. Using the monitor to power your Bling Bling. Who doesn't like to add a little bling bling to their installations? I know I do. Here I'm using some LED strips that are powered by 12-volt DC. They simply attach to the monitor with the double-sided tape. This is going to give some nice backlighting effect. When I mount this up on a wall or on a pendant mount, it's going to look beautiful. Turn this around and show you. I don't care who you are, that looks good. Well, my friends, we've reached the end. Those are just 10 different ways that you can use this monitor. And as you can see, this is more than just a monitor. It's a tool, and the opportunities are endless. How do you plan on using it? Thanks for watching.